What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is having a legendary day. Jason is starting his little hiatus, so we don't know when he'll be joining us during the dead period, but he should be back in time for camp, and he might be joining us, you know, periodically through the next, pretty much 2 months. Um, So it's just your boy today. We're gonna have a short show, just going over some OTAs. A bunch of interesting things happened at OTAs. Kyle Shanahan spoke. I was only able to see it through Dave Lombardi's YouTube channel, so I didn't get the best audio. Not necessarily that the Niner audio is that much better, but hopefully the Niners will post it, and I'll be able to watch that, later this evening or tomorrow. But before we go ahead and break down OTAs and all that, we're going to go ahead and remind everybody to help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our shop49ers.com affiliate link. Link is in the description of the podcast or video. Go ahead and go to cgiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at Niner Faithful Radio, and Twitter, Niner Faithful R. To see everywhere you can subscribe to the show, go ahead and visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe. And make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show for your special 10% coupon code for the Faithful by the Faithful Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, faithful of all ages, let's get the show cracking.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana. Touchdown, John Taylor.
It's not until Jason wasn't here that I kind of remembered, about this time. Be like, hey, what's up, Jason? How you doing? And while I'm doing a bunch of things off screen that y'all can't see, he's talking, and now I have to talk while doing this, and that's a little difficult for you, boy. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, so Niners OTAs. Y'all obviously saw it or will see it by the thumbnail that we chose to use. Jair Brown, 4 interceptions in OTAs. Now, of course, everybody will say, well, Debo wasn't out there. Well, Brandon Ayuk was and CMC were. And the Niners didn't have their own line. Yeah, well, they didn't have Nick Bosa breathing down their neck either. So I'm not sitting there saying sign him up for the Hall of Fame or anything like that. But you can only ask him to impress any opportunity he has to impress. And so far, he's impressed. Do I think that he's going to threaten Deshaun Gibson? Honestly, I don't want to call last year a fluke for Deshaun Gibson, but I think he's going to regress this year, and I think the team sees that. I think the team is not going to be betting that he's not going to have another career year this year. So I think Jair Brown was obviously drafted for the future, but also with the type of mindset of he may, if this falls off a cliff, he may need to come in sooner rather than later. But I'm excited to watch Jair Brown at camp. The Niners will definitely play some 3 safety looks this year. And if he ends up playing like he did or practicing in OTAs like he did in training camp, I think we're definitely going to see it. Moving on. Chris Furster spoke, and it was a pretty interesting interview. He came out and said that Colton McKivitz and basically the line set. It's going to be Trent, Aaron Banks, Brendel, Burford, and Colton McKivitz. No big surprise. And he did caveat by saying, look, if somebody comes out here and, knocks our socks off or, he struggles, that they won't hesitate to make a change. But definitely exciting to say that they think he's made enough strides not to have to, rotate, especially considering that we brought in some guards this offseason with some starting experience. Joey Fisher is officially going to be a guard. Chris Furster said they're not trying him out at tackle. We have a comment. Let's see who it is. What's up, media? How you doing, baby? Go ahead and hit me up. Jason's gone for a few weeks. Pretty much most of the summer. That's good to hear. Good to hear, bro. So anytime you want to come up over the next probably 3, 4, 5 weeks, let me know and we'll set that up. But so we might have media on here in the next couple weeks. So anyway, I think that's exciting. Now with Colton McKivitz, oh, of course, anytime you need me, bro. Anytime you need me, I'm always down. Especially if it's after work, which I get home around 4:30. So, if it's after 4:30, yeah, definitely. Just let me know date, time, and place, and I'll be there. But real quick in the comments, who's your OTA story? I think I might know who it is. I got 2 guesses, and if it is one of the 2 guesses, I'll leave it until I talk to one of them. If it's one of the 2, I think it is. But I think that having the offensive line solidified is going to be beneficial, especially when we brought in competition this year. So I don't think it's like, look, your name's inked in. You have the job for now. Hey, if we had to line up and go play, you'd be the one that would, take the snaps. Yeah, that's who I thought it was. Okay. That's the first one. I spoke about Jair Brown, but I totally agree to you. OTA, but the offensive line is something that I'm definitely going to keep in mind. It outperformed expectations last year. But I think that we cannot fool ourselves and think that beyond Trent Williams, this isn't the weakness of this football team. I mean, if you disagree, I would love for you to put in the comments, what you feel the weakness of this football team is. But it's not receiving core. Maybe you could say tight end beyond George Kittle. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that tight end depth. Running back room, we're fine. Fullback, I mean, we would probably stop using one if something happened to Juice, knock on wood. Quarterback, really? Weakness of this team? I don't think, I mean, for what we saw of Brock Purdy and the new improved Trey Lance, which we'll get to in a second on Trey, I don't think it's not a strength, but definitely, yeah, right tackle specifically. But I'm talking about overall as a position group, the offensive line as a whole, minus Trent Williams, is the weakness of this football team. It's not anything on defense. So you look at it offensively. What quarterback? and maybe tight end beyond George Kittle. Are the only position groups I think have arguments with the week. And look, I'm not saying the offensive line is garbage. I'm just saying we can't act like we're gonna trot out tight end. Yeah, that's what I said. Tight end beyond George Kittle definitely is a weakness on this football team. You could say based off of last year's results, tight end, second and lower tight end is a weakness of this football team over the offensive line. I'll give you that. Yeah, I mean, it's serviceable. I'm not sitting here saying the offensive line is garbage. But if the offensive line is the undoing of this football team this year, would you be surprised? I personally wouldn't. Backup. I mean, yeah, okay, you could say the backup tight end was the undoing of the season last year. But I mean, George Kittle could have blew that block. Let's be real. If George Kittle would have blown that block, would anybody have been surprised? I mean, if he completely whiffed, I'd be surprised. But if George Kittle gets beat on blocks. So if that's the only block he lost all game, and he shut down their D line the rest of the game, nobody would be saying anything. So let's not act like Tyler Kroft was the only player that could have possibly lost a blocking assignment to Hassan Reddick. I would, because it means maybe guys like Banker Burford would have sophomore slumps. That is a good point. That is a good point. I want to see it from Banks, and I want to see it from Burford. I want to see it from Burford now full time. We're going to get that opportunity as of right now. The way things stand right now, we're going to get to see full time. And Banks, played phenomenal last year, but put together back-to-back years for me, bro. And look, I will gladly eat crow. I will come on air if Banks plays at an all-pro level this year. I will come on and eat crow. I say I'm not even saying that he's going to have a sophomore slump. I think he's going to get huge strides. I was excited when we drafted Aaron Banks. I was just talking to a friend of mine's uncle, an old school Niner fan, and we were talking about the drafting of Trey Lance and everything, and we both agreed that we needed to draft a guard. So I was excited when we, second round pick on a guard. That's something this football team doesn't do. Y'all got to excuse me for a second. Messaging. My bad, y'all. The wifey's messaging. So I'm not fully sold on it. I'm not fully sold on it. It is a possibility. I would be ecstatic. But yeah, even if you told me, okay, what would be a bigger surprise, a season being undone by backup tight ends or by the offensive line, I would point to backup tight end. Yeah, I could definitely see, backup tight end is the reason, So offensive line is still a question mark. Can we say that then? I won't say a weakness, but I'll say a question mark. Now, if they go out and they have an amazing season this year, then I'll eat crow. But until then, I just say it is one of the weaknesses of this football team. Definitely. Which, you could make an argument. Okay, wifey's talking to me about dinner, so I'll look at that in a second. If you're watching, baby, I'll look at the messages in a second. Anyway, moving on from the offensive line, that will be seen. Trey Lance. Now, it's OTAs, it's throws on air. I mean, there have been reports that, there's been some bad days and some good days. It hasn't necessarily been consistent. But it seems that things are on track. And I remember when I said this in the off season, I said everybody's operating under the assumption that Trey Lance hasn't gotten better. That he's either stayed the same or regressed. Now, I understand that, it was his ankle, so it's hard to do much, when you're recovering from your ankle. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of hearing all about all our quarterbacks taking the mental reps. I'm so sick and tired of that word. But the mechanics are improved. I mean, you've heard reports from OTAs that the throws look better, his mechanics look improved. Apparently, you're seeing the results. Brandon Ayuk, I believe it was, made a point to say that Trey was throwing a very catchable ball. Larry Kruger came up with a stat that Trey, through his 2 starts last year, had a 10% drop rate, the highest among quarterbacks at that point. So if Brandon Ayuk is saying, yeah, Trey's throwing a much better, a more catchable ball, or just simply saying, the ball's been catchable, that's some improvement. I think we should be excited. Why I hear people acting mad about that. Like they're reacting like almost if they're mad that some positive news is coming out that the quarterback we took with the 3rd overall pick has shown some improvement. Because beyond the quarterback room, and I will say this to play a little delicate advocacy of the quarterback room, besides Sam Darnold, which I'm not going to pretend I know all Sam Darnold's career, so he might have missed some significant time due to injury. One of the words I would use about the Niners quarterback room is uncertain. Unfair, freak circumstances, everything taken into consideration, neither quarterback that we're hoping, that being Brock and Trey, have proven that they can stay healthy. And ultimately, if you said, T, what would it take for the Niners to win the Super Bowl this year? One of the biggest things I take, without getting too deep into a breakdown, is improve. I won't say improve quarterback play, improve quarterback health. Whoever this, and I feel frustrated because it's almost unrealistic to say this, but yeah, I kind of think that our quarterback needs to play all 17 games. Because we can't expect to continue a win streak like we did last year playing with 2 different quarterbacks. Because everything, which I want to make sure I get this quote right. The Niners anticipate Brock Purdy will be fully cleared to play around August 21st, so 20 days prior to the start of the regular season. So at that point, I'm assuming that if he's cleared to play, he's going to be at practice. And let me go ahead and look up. I want to say the last preseason game. I want to say that's a home game. 49ers preseason schedule. Yeah, the 25th. We play the Chargers at home. So if he's cleared to play, I don't know if that means practice, but cleared to play, I would assume you would try him out at least a little bit in that game, just to get his feet wet for a series or two. I mean, if not, okay, fine, you would understand. But I'm nervous about my quarterback taking his first live action throws beyond practice or anything. And I understand preseason isn't a regular game, but anything that would represent a regular season game, I think that I'm a little nervous about that. Like last time Brock Purdy threw a pass was what, the sixth play of the NFC Championship game, and like you just don't want to bring him out in the preseason at all, just to get some throws. I mean, fine, understandable, but it's not to say it doesn't come with some risks. And the only way I would accept it if you're saying, look, Trey's our backup, and we feel Trey needs as many reps as possible. Okay. I'm willing to say if you're like, look, we're shutting Brock down for the preseason, and Trey and Sam are going to battle it out, and they'll take all the reps. Sam needs them, to get comfortable with playing within the offense, and Trey needs them, for development. I would accept that. You say, let's be real, Brock's taking plenty of snaps, at practice and camp. And once camp ends, and I would assume once that preseason game, they'll probably take a few days off, and then they'll start preparing for Pittsburgh. So Brock will start to take all the reps at that point. So maybe you want Trey, to get as many reps as possible, because hopefully he doesn't get any in the regular season. Now, I know people are talking about whether Trey Lance will be traded or not. I don't think you can get the pick that you want for him, because if he plays well enough this preseason that somebody's willing, without some unforeseen thing like desperation, like because a quarterback got hurt, if a team is if Trey's played well enough that the team's willing to give you a significant pick, you have to take in consideration the fact that he's starting to play like he's worthy of the third overall pick. And then I'm kind of like, well, why wouldn't you keep him? If he's starting to prove in practice that you're seeing the quarterback that you envisioned when you took him third overall, then why would you not keep him on the football team? I don't understand that. To me, Brian Allen isn't on this football team. I would rather see Trey Lance play than Allen, because at least Trey, there's some chance he's the future. I want to know, as a Niner fan, as somebody who watched my team invest what they did in Trey Lance, I would like to at least know and see it play out. Let me see him play quarterback where I can make a judgment, at least a fair assessment, however many games that is or snaps that is, something where I can say, okay, as a fan, I believe this, as a fanalist. Let me see. Did we cover everything? I believe that should pretty much do it. Oh yeah, one last thing. Drake Jackson looks amazing. Chris Kosarek, go to Dave Lombardi's channel. Don't even go to the Niners one because they cut it off. Go to Dave Lombardi's channel. Watch Chris Kosarek interview. It's an amazing interview. He gushes about Drake Jackson. I wouldn't say gushes, but he definitely is very positive about Drake Jackson. Kyle Shanahan all but went dewy-eyed over him today and said he had a fantastic offseason. I think the Niners, there's been a lot of talk about a bookend opposite of Nick Bosa. I believe the Niners believe that's Drake Jackson. I think that they didn't have some questions after last year. They said, okay, hey, there's some concerns. We knew this. You know, we feel I don't know what this is. That's kind of weird. Anyway, sorry about that. So some stuff was happening off camera that was really weird. I think that there's nothing that they said. Now let's see how he responds. Basically, is what I was trying to get to, and by his response, I think the Niners think that they have that bookend. And now they'll say, "Hey, we get into the a couple weeks into camp, we get into the season. We might make a move via free agency trade, whatever." All right, y'all. Well, we went almost a half an hour. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. That was a pretty decent show. We're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I gotta go handle business for the wifey and everything. We'll see you next week. Next week we should probably start to break down, get into camp breakdowns before position breakdowns before training camp. Gotta love it. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana. Touchdown, John Taylor.
See ya.